666 subscribers. Try saying that one after a few beers. First of all, thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. Now, I did have some inner debate about whether or not to bother making a video for this number. After all, is it really that significant? Well, in the end, obviously, I came to the conclusion that it was. I just couldn't resist the infamy of it. So here we are, celebrating my 666th subscription. Now, the number 666 these days is often associated with the beast or antichrist, thanks to a brief mention of it in the Holy Bible. I did perform a little research into the matter before making this video, and giving letters numerical values and divining the significance of that process is something called Gematria. And like a lot of early religious practices, it can get pretty far out there in terms of what it claims to be true. Interestingly enough, when it comes to 666, there are early reports of the number bearing positive connotations rather than the negative ones of Nero and the like that we associate with it today. I find this hardly surprising, as when you look underneath an established religion to the early foundations of it, there can often be found numerous forgotten branches of what was once considered true belief. So, belief, eh? Do we really believe 666 has some power to it, other than the infamy we attribute it? Come to that, do we really believe any symbol has power beyond the tributary characteristics we assign? Can the characteristics be transferred to another symbol? If tarnished, can a symbol ever redeem itself? I wish to cast a cursory glance over such matters and briefly answer such questions here in this video for you today. Once again, thank you for subscribing. Okay, so a symbol can certainly have its meanings altered. This was proved beyond any doubt when a certain Austrian artist adopted such a symbol for his political party. I am, of course, talking about the swastika. For thousands of years prior to the rise of the Third Reich, it had much more peaceful and spiritual associations than it is known for today. The amount of evil committed underneath it has forever altered how we perceive it. Now, could such a symbol ever be reconstituted in its meanings again? Hard to say. It would take a vast swathe of time, perhaps another 1,000 years or so. Then maybe some of the taint will have fallen into obscurity. Now, of course, I am saying this because the Axis forces lost the war. One should also consider that if they had won, many people would still look up to the symbol as something positive. Thankfully, we do not live in such a timeline. So we know the meanings of symbols can change when different ideas are associated with them. So let us have a little thought experiment together. Let us take, for example, something as benign as the letter A. We all know what this letter can imply because there is a general consensus amongst us. However, if the letter A were taken up by a future dictator and millions of lives lost underneath it, as well as hideous crimes against humanity committed, and assuming that this fictitious dictator was ultimately defeated, we would no longer find the symbol of A to be acceptable. Perhaps a new letter would be drawn up to represent the sound. But hang on a second, the sound of A would also no longer be acceptable, having been chanted at various rallies of military might across the world. So now we need a new sound as well as a letter to replace the old. I vote for K. So instead of saying a tree or a car, one now has to say K car or K tree. The meaning underneath is the same, but the representation that we use in the world has altered. Now it's a bloody pain in the k's to say anything cool. Thankfully, we do not live in such a timeline either. So meanings exist, regardless of the symbols we use to represent them. I think it's fair to say that good and evil exist, regardless of the symbols we use to represent them. But whether we use the numerical value of 666, or indeed any other symbol to represent good or evil in this world, is up to us. One thing's for sure, in its current state, it had enough power to compel me to make this video about it, and enough power to draw you to click on it. Once again, thank you for subscribing.